Our next poet is really fabulous, Joan Larkin. How do we make sense of memory? Is it there to teach us lessons, to torture us, to help us practice gratitude? It doesn't seem to matter, because while you're busy making sense of standing memories, you're throwing new ones on the pile at an exponential rate. A poet like Joan Larkin helps us to solve this problem. She distills memory into beautiful, thoughtful, humble poems that extract the essence, the indescribable meaning but understanding feelings of the past. She paints vivid, cinematic pictures and doesn't attempt to saturate us with insight, which makes her insights so much more valuable, poem by poem. She helps us see the present as the past, and as such live our lives more fully in every falling moment, however fraught, confusing, or filled with love, as part of a whole. Best to say she writes the present as well as she does the past, in a mode that doesn't really distinguish between the two, giving them the same considered attention. We understand our own lives and the lives of others better by experiencing Joan Larkin's poetry. Joan's sixth book of poems is Old Stranger, just out from Alice James Books. Her previous work includes Blue Hanuman, My Body, New and Selected Poems, which received the Publishing Triangle's Audre Lorde Award, and Lambda Literary Award winner Cold River. With Jaime Manrique, Larkin translated Sor Juana's Love Poems, a bilingual edition of Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz's poetry. Her prose works include If You Want What We Have, Sponsorship, Meditations, and Glad Day, daily meditations for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people. A lifelong teacher, she served on the faculties of Brooklyn College, Sarah Lawrence College, and Smith College, among others. Larkin has been awarded fellowships from the Academy of American Poets, the NEA, and the New York Foundation for the Arts. She received the 2011 Shirley Memorial Award from the Poetry Society of America. Here's Joan Larkin.
Thanks, John. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for that introduction. And Joan, thank you for your rendition of that chicken. I'm abashed. I didn't bring anybody else's poems to read, just mine. But I'm going to read a couple of poems from my body, and maybe something from Blue Hanuman, and then read from the new book. Okay. Oh, and thanks everybody for coming. My heavens, people showed up, except for the ones who suddenly got COVID this week. So I hope everybody's getting their boosters. A garden. We were planting in black earth the last night of my life. Death was scheduled for morning. I was happy planting lilacs now. She wondered, too many? And I laughed. It was rich. I said, you never can have enough lilacs. Look at New England. I dug on the low roof. This one would spill downward. The dream, November, was drenched lilac. Life was this plenty. Earth, lilacs, the woman next to me planting. I hardly felt any fear this morning, shaking. The offering. When they cleaned you and gave you to me, long legs and fingers, red glow rising from creased flesh, eyes already awake, gaze steady. I shook for 3 days in my knot of hospital sheets. Tears came later, cries, fears, fierce holding, the ways you'd shake me off. Your well of rage. Over and over, you bloomed in your separate knowledge. Yesterday, you offered tender words. I remembered gorging on teglach Fanny made, thick knots of dough shining with honey. I'm filled and wanting more, only to taste that heavy gold on my tongue again. So teglach is something I haven't had for years, and I don't think your dentist wants you to try it, but it's so good. Oh, it's so good. Okay. Did I have anything from? Yeah. So somebody who should know better asked me yesterday, well, what themes do you think about when you're going to write? And I said, I'm not thinking about themes, thinking about an image or a word, and I don't know where it's going to take me. But then later, you look back at your own work. I look back at my own work and I say, oh, there are some obsessions here, or some scenes that I keep revisiting. And one of them is family, of course, and one of them is art. And I want to try to include a little joy and lots of women. But this one is about one of my early encounters with art. And the word life in this poem refers to Life magazine, which at some point in my childhood apparently did a spread on Picasso. And my brother cut out one of the picture pages and hung it on the wall. Eye of Newt. I was larval. I dreamed myself downstairs in PJs, still in my coma. Bach, he said, and I lay next to the radio. Dark amber spread through my girl brain. Eye of Newt already nestled there, an egg glued to a twig. My pale, bespectacled brother set me on a leaf and watched me fatten. Franz Kafka, he said, and my new long feelers brushed the wall. Girl before a mirror was tacked there, torn from life. Her twin pear belly, warm pink as my own. Half curled, half crawling, I burst through skin after skin. Art, I said, and my wings fanned slowly open. So, I have a new book. Just came out. So, I'm reading from it in public for the first time. So, well, I mentioned Fanny, the maker of the Tegla. So I think I'll read Fanny. And the title goes into the first line. Fanny praised God, Aleph by Aleph, on the one page of her one book, signed her citizenship with X, pressed wells into dough with the heel of her hand, oil and salt her elements, well of onions her bread signature, she herself a well, 9 bodies from one, stood into her 70s, Oxfords, elastic stockings, satiny girdle to hold flesh in place. Just now I saw her in my mirror, worn teeth and claws, old country eyes. Or did some stranger look at me with mercy, her wind-bent beach chair planted in rocks? So there are many poems in this book that were inspired by images of women, lives of women, chance encounters with women, and this is called At 24th and 10th, and I meant 24th Street and 10th Avenue in Manhattan, where I was staying for some reason, I don't even remember why, in a friend's upscale co-op in Chelsea, and I walked out towards 10th Avenue to find a deli, and this poem resulted. At 24th and 10th, I heard her over the seething river of cars, and her terrible soft whine willed me to turn back in the dark. She wore no sign. Neither of us spoke. Willing, unwilling, my hand reached, and I saw her eyes, her open mouth, the shroud she stood wrapped in at the curb, her cupped hand steady in November wind that was shaking a scaffold. This is called 1961. What was I doing looking for help in the phone book? Then walking up Prospect to the doctor's polished boat of a desk. That face, the color of thin milk. I needed a diaphragm. Unmarried. His steel-rimmed glasses glinted. His satisfied look was a cat's. If I thought about anything then, it was how to make $5 feed us for a week. How to soak kidneys in vinegar to dry out smell. They had a bluish undertone, like the alizarin crimson Robert squeezed onto his palette to paint the thrift store wine glass. 39 cents a pound. Relief from tamale pie. Whatever he thought, he ate it and went back to his painting. The pregnancy lasted a few weeks past the wedding. What's still with me, the shape of the doctor's mouth made in that dim office. Disgust. Nothing could leach it out of me. I'm still breathing its faint, unmistakable odor. I think I'll read My Father's Tie Rack. Back of the door to his dark closet, eye height, with clever steel pegs I could flip both ways, a row of pendulums, of tongues, words wordless, witnesses waiting to be sworn, the town's secret, a silk body, a man's plenty, a wild ache, a knot, one painted with gold mums, one with blood leaves on mud, Vishnu's skin, 20 shades of sky, white flag iris, slick sheen of a green-black snake. Which one went with him into the hole? Somewhere else, his belts. This is the title poem. Old Stranger. When my lost carbon steel knife turned up, as if it had never left the drawer, dark haft, trio of nickel-silver rivets like moons of Pluto, thin blade stained as before, I breathed, spoke to the empty room, reached for the old stranger, touched its whetted edge. Alive, it could change tomatoes to glistening discs, basil to little hills, draw blood from meat. It raked joy onto my plate, while the gauze that wrapped my cut reddened. You know, carbon steel, you can sharpen it to the thinness of a razor blade. It's really much better than that stainless shit. Anyway, I think I don't know how long I've been reading, but I'll read a couple more. I want to read this one because it ends with a feeling of gratitude. One fragment of 1980. I knew some of the women standing in a ragged circle, passing a lit joint pinched between thumb and finger, watched it pass, their bursts of laughter, small explosions in my solar plexus, pressed my sweating glass to my cheek, confused by the close dance I'd had with a woman whose drunk girlfriend watched, smiling and smoking. I studied a patch of sun on the floor. Weed smell filled the room. Don't you hate it? Thin, dark Linda next to me had seen my face. She joked about not knowing names for feelings. Mad, glad, sad. Weren't there 4? Scared shitless, I offered. I didn't say grateful. Didn't guess until the party and her name came back to me tonight. How much I owed, still owe, that shred of smiling talk. So, I'm going to read 2 more. This is called Lavished. And it's dedicated to the painter Wayne Thiebaud. And if you know his work, it's everything you've always wanted in the bakery case at the deli, painted very realistically. Lavished. I'm hungry for it. Your double scoop of thick impasto on a scored cake cup stands downstage center, spotlit against flag blue, blameless. Even the shelf it sits on is slathered in edible pinkish milk chocolate paint. I'm hungry, and the bottom scoop is melting as the dangerously tilted top scoop defies Newton. The cherry glows like a lit button on a console. The whole treat is about to fall, but your squeezed pigment wants to feed me, and my eyes eat. And this is the last poem, and the last poem in the book. No, it's not the last poem in the book. How do you like that? I should read my own book more often. White Pine. Walking to the studio, cane printing the dirt, I see you rising from a thicket, ragged ferns at your foot, deep grooves in your bark, around you a cloud of needles. High on your trunk, 2 moons like scars of sheared off breasts, where the chainsaw whined and sap oozed from the wound. Below them a dark, articulate slit, dead and living in one body. Your cones, open in warm air, give winged seeds to the wind, enough for a forest. Death poem, wait. Joan, keep walking. Thank you.